Now, Sri Lanka is battling a crippling financial crisis, with foreign reserves having hit rock bottom and also foreign debt mounting. And now an opposition lawmaker in Sri Lanka, Harsha de Silva, has claimed that the country's central bank has sold off almost 50% of Sri Lanka's remaining gold reserves. Now, taking to Twitter, the economist and the politician Harsha de Silva highlighted as to how the country's reserves have depleted from about $382 million to less than $175 million of gold reserves. And this had happened in a span of less than 30 days. Now, the country's central bank is estimated to have sold almost about 3.6 tons of a 6.69 stockpile of gold. It had the beginning of 2020 leaving the country with just about 3 tons of gold. And this is not the first time that the South Asian nation has sold its reserves. In the year 2020, Sri Lanka had sold almost about 12.3 tons of gold and ended 2019 with 19.6 tons of gold. Now, according to Sri Lanka's central bank governor, Ajit Nivath Cabral, Sri Lanka has bought gold when foreign reserves were going up and the gold holdings are decreased when reserves reduce. This is Sri Lanka's 4th year of selling its gold reserves. Meanwhile, as Sri Lanka's forex crisis has deepened, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will be visiting Sri Lanka later in the day. The visit also comes after a top state-owned bank in Sri Lanka had paid $6.9 million to a Chinese company to settle a long-pending dispute, which was triggered after its fertilizer shipment. That, remember, was rejected by Colombo. Meanwhile, this issue of fertilizer is also expected to surface during Wang Yi's visit to Sri Lanka. All right, now to give us more information on this, we are joined in by our correspondent Dasani Athauda, who's joining us live from Colombo. Now, Dasani, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Now, there are reports of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka selling more than half of its gold reserves. What exactly do we know about this, and what has led the government to actually sell off pretty much half of its gold?
Yes, it appears that Sri Lanka has sold more than 50% of its gold reserves, according to statistics that compared Sri Lanka's gold reserves in November as opposed to that of December. Now, in November, Sri Lanka has had a total of around $384 million worth of gold. However, when it came to December last year, the gold reserves have drastically dropped by more than 50% to amount to only $174 million. Now, opposition MP Harsha de Silva did tweet this out today here in Sri Lanka, highlighting that the government is actually resorting to absolute drastic measures to come out of this worsening financial and forex crisis that the country has been facing ever since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country.
Absolutely, indeed. And also the Chinese foreign minister is expected to visit Sri Lanka today. What are we expecting of this visit to Sri Lanka?
Yes, a little over a week ago, we did get to know that Sri Lanka's depleting forex reserves actually doubled overnight following a currency swap with China, which amounted to $1.5 billion. But what is interesting is the Sri Lankan government is yet to publicize how it will be using these funds and how the government will be coming out of a financial crisis that it is experiencing at the moment. That's not all. The Chinese foreign minister is expected to visit Sri Lanka and will be arriving later on in the evening here today, and is expected to meet with the President, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, as well as Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa tomorrow. So stay tuned with WION for the latest.
All right, so that was my colleague Dasani Athauda there, joining us from Colombo. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.